All right. Are we good to go, David?
Yeah, people are streaming in now, so if you want to just let them know, yeah, we're gonna get started in a few moments, I presume.
All right. Welcome everyone to. Actually, let me start from the beginning. Welcome everyone to the Lake and Kedzie public meeting. We're going to get started in a minute. Just going to allow folks to trickle in. Okay, it looks like we have about 70 folks with us now. I think I'll give it another minute. All right, I think we can get started. So I'll start with a brief run of show. So today, the meeting goals are to provide a brief overview of the Lake and Kedzie RFQ, to introduce the shortlisted development teams. We're going to be conducting a 15-minute virtual charrette to get some initial input on different components of potential redevelopment of the sites. And then we're going to wrap up with a 30 to 40-minute Q&A. So I want to start by establishing some ground rules. All participants will be muted during the presentation and the chat function has been disabled. Please use the Q&A function for any questions outside of the designated Q&A period. During the Q&A period, we ask that you use the raise your hand function to be unmuted. And when speaking, please state your first and last name. And then finally, all questions and comments are welcome, so please be respectful of others. So I'll provide a brief project overview. So earlier this year, the city identified 3 potential redevelopment sites within a quarter mile of the Lake and Kedzie Green Line station, and we issued a request for qualifications to solicit development and design teams to be able to redevelop one of the 3 parcels near the Lake and Kedzie station. We established 4 project goals, which include leveraging recent nearby investments such as the hatchery to catalyze mixed-use development along the Kedzie commercial corridor. 2, to provide a strategic framework for the redevelopment of city-owned sites. 3, to provide an appropriate level of mixed income residential density to support commercial development along the corridor. And 4, to provide an improved pedestrian realm to increase walkability and safety along Kedzie. One of the outcomes of the RFQ is to begin to restore the urban village, which is the 15-minute neighborhood, meaning that folks are able to access everything that they need for daily living within 15 minutes of their home. So that includes access to healthy food options, educational opportunities, employment, outdoor activities, transit, active uses such as gyms and parks, and other things that they need for daily living. So this is in line with the mayor's commitment for equity and investment. So generally speaking, we want to see investment not only occur on the north side, but also occur in historically disinvested communities in the south and west sides. And this is one of many RFPs and RFQs that we've issued over the course of the last 3 years. And on this slide, you see a number of the selected proposals in various communities on the south and west sides. So with that, we're going to move into introducing the shortlisted teams. So here is a list of the development teams. In a moment, each development team will be invited to provide a 10-minute introductory presentation. So we're going to start with Team 1, which is led by Citizens Building a Better Community. Then we're going to hear from Evergreen and Imagine Group. And then finally, Michaels and KMW Communities. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to allow CBBC to present.
Melvin, hopefully you can see that now.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. So, hey, I'd like to thank you guys for, allowing Citizens Building a Better Community this opportunity to be one of the shortlisted to make sure that we can have a voice in this community, because this is what we've been fighting for, and as you will see in our presentation slide, we've been in this community over the past, decade and a half to provide opportunity to make sure that we can have a viable community. The same as when we start going to the introduction page, and you will see, our team and what we propose for this site. And I know you will love to hear, from my team, because I'm gonna speak, and as was Juan, and then I'm gonna have Edgar to speak as well, to put our best foot forward to show what we've been doing in the community. And I'd like to thank God for giving me this opportunity to speak to you, to the city, and to the powers that be, because this is what we've been fighting for a long time in our community, a long time. And I share with the community at large. Too many times when projects such as this come in our community, only time we're aware of it is when the bulldozer go out on the site. So thank God, thank you guys, thank for the city of Chicago for realizing, let's talk to the community first, get a community input, and then start moving forward, because it just been so heartbreaking for us to see a bunch of these sites going up in our community, and there have been no community input, and then there have been no community involvement. So thank you guys. So yes, so I would like to start. So Juan, would you like to start with the first slides, and I can start speaking to what we have done in the community. So, okay.
Wonderful, Melvin. I think equally, we're all honored to be here. I think that what we're trying to share here is that we recognize that this is a time to share a positive light on Chicago. And it's not lost on us that the city is elevating architecture in the city of Chicago, but also nationally and internationally in a very unique opportunity. With that was the realization for myself, for Botanical City and Productora, to really join forces and bring all our respective skill sets to the neighborhood. So we're thoroughly excited to be partnered with Melvin, his team, Edgar, and Edgar or Melvin, I'm going to send it right back over to you.
Sure. So thank you very much. So as you can see, this what the picture that you guys are seeing on the screen, me and my business partner Mike Judah, you'll hear from him shortly. We have passed city councils to start building affordable housing, something that we've been fighting very hard for as well, because we feel with this process of building affordable housing, we can deal with the community and the people on the block. So thank God that the city heard that cry. We passed city council to start doing affordable housing in the city, in Garfield, in East Garfield. Matter of fact, we have foundations in the ground right now off Walnut, which is like a half a block away from the property. And I shared with the guys, and I could tell you guys a very interesting story. you know how the young men be on the block, and I shared with them, walked down to the corner of the block and told the young man, hey, we want to hire you guys. And I took their names, and surprisingly, I called their dad and their uncle on the phone while they were standing there. They was like, oh my God. I said, just to let you guys know, I was born and raised right here. And they were so excited. I said, man, just give us time. We would like to hire you guys, and we're going to change the mindset of, you know, your perception of way life should go. Because I tell this story all the time, nowhere in the world a young man should wake up in the morning and a crime should be on his mind. So now you got community engagement. As you can see, again, here we are marching to, and as look at the shirt, it said, give us a hammer for a gun. Give us the gun and we'll give you a hammer to cease crime. And as you can see the picture onto, you know, on the screen. And then also we did a pass out, we passed out book bags. So, you know, our goal is to make sure that we can make the community aware and talk to the young men and women in the community to give them a different mindset. So as you can see, we was marching for opportunity, and it don't stop. It don't stop. And then once we start getting the opportunity, as you can see, we've been hiring carpenters, laborers, to make sure that, and the picture that you see, that picture of me and the young men, we off Holman, right off Holman and Walnut, in that area, not too far off Kedzie. That was a picture that was the WTTW did for a special on us to make sure that we can, you know, we stand true to our mission and our goal of changing lives. Then the bottom picture is the groundbreaking. As you can see, you have some of the community folks there. I mean, you know, the elected officials, the mayor's office, the city, because I'm so grateful that they know we've been very passionate about changing lives. And I'd like to thank you guys. Thank you guys, and thank God for the opportunity to speak in today. And I just can't thank you guys enough, man. You know, I mean, this has been my lifelong legacy. So again, I'm gonna let one of my team members speak to this, Botanical City. So who we had select Juan to speak to? Maria, thank you.
Thank you, Melvin. Thank you, Juan.
you.
Thank you, everybody, for your attention. Maria Villalobos and my partner Nili Mistri in Botanical City. It is our pleasure to join you today and discuss what ideas you have, what dreams and aspirations you have for the neighborhood. We are both educators at IIT, training the new generation of landscape architects and community organizers. And at Botanical City, we have a long kind of history of delivering projects focusing on large-scale landscapes that really look at communities often overlooked, where the expressions of abandonment and disinvestment are too often too present. And we are committed in Chicago to work to bring new lives to those. Over the past 3 years, we have been focusing on the trail projects, both the Bronzeville Trail and the Inglewood Trail, and we are delighted to see them moving forward. We know that through landscape and working together, we can bring about those dreams and aspirations of kinder, more just, and more equitable cities for all.
Bonnie?
Thank you, Maria. Sorry, I was on mute still. So we're dialing in from Productora from Mexico City. Super excited to be part of this, since we've been starting to build in the US. We always hear about housing developments and how percentage is going to be affordable housing as a sort of exception. That means that the norm is unaffordable housing, which we think is kind of very absurd as an idea. It's a pleasure for us to be able to work with our team, with CBBC, with Mike and Edgar, and Melvin, with Maria, and with Juan Moreno and his team on this project. So we have an office of about 15 people in Mexico City. Next slide, please. We are founded with 4 founding partners. So that's important for us, because it really kind of starts from understanding that architecture and design and city building is created out of a dialogue, out of a discussion in between people. So I'm originally actually from Belgium, 2 partners from Mexico and 1 partner from Argentina on this team. And next slide, please. I'm going to go through it quickly because I want still to give Juan time, and that see time is ticking away. But some of the projects we've done in housing, not only in Mexico, but also in the United States, and always with a strong focus on community, but also on the history of the site. Even in Lake and Kedzie, it has an enormous, fantastic history, and it's been a pleasure to getting to know the site and the environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, Bonnie, you left me plenty of time. No problem.
Okay, sorry.
Everyone, as you can tell, we have a wonderful team. I'm just incredibly honored to work with them and collaborate. From a JGMA perspective, our firm was started 12 years ago, and it's really these kind of projects that inspired the start of our firm. The idea that architecture should be for all, but not just any architecture, should be elevated so that we can transform community, make people feel dignity in the work that they receive. Our work has been seen throughout the city. We are proud participants in the Invest Southwest programs. We were the very fortunate winners of the Invest Southwest in Humboldt Park for the Pioneer Bank, but also been involved in Invest Southwest corridors. And this is just some of the work that we've done. But I think for all of us, what we're really looking forward to most tonight is just listening and hearing from all of you. But truly grateful to be here this evening. James, with that, I'll hand it back over to you because I think I'm right at the 10-minute mark.
Oh, are we at the 10-minute? Because I'd like to give Edgar just a 2 minutes if we could.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. We actually we don't have 2 minutes. I want to make sure that we have time for Q&A. So we're going to move on to the next.
Okay, cool. All right.
So with that, I'm going to invite Evergreen and Imagine to provide the next presentation.
Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity to present. I'll wait till the slide gets up and then I'll go ahead and introduce our team. Great. I'm Tori Barrett, principal of Imagine Group, and my business partner, Fred Spencer. I'm David Block, and you can see the rest of the folks. First, let me just say that we're honored to be shortlisted for this site. It's great to see folks like Melvin, who's been doing great work on the West Side for a really long time. You know, brother from another mother, and you know,
Thank you.
Absolutely, just to be in this this group of individuals is humbling for us. You know, my organization has predominantly done business on the south side of Chicago, but we have done some business on the west side as well. But I think what kind of sets us apart is that we're about home, not just home ownership, but business ownership. So we like to create ownership opportunities for those individuals who live in the residence and the areas that we develop in. And so this is a 58-unit mixed-use development that we did in the Washington Park area called the Clio Art Residences. One of the things that we heard from the people in the neighborhood is that, you know, they're tired of going to Hyde Park, South Loop, and downtown to find quality places to dine. And so we opened and established an organization, restaurant called the Park Supper Club, and a unique opportunity for residents in the area to actually create ownership. So we have some B shares from those residents who, you know, had aspirations about being a business owner, a small business owner, and so they're now part owners of that particular restaurant. We're doing the same thing in Auburn Gresham, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and we're doing the same thing in North Lawndale. And so, you know, for us, it's all about creating opportunities for residents that live in the communities that we serve to be a part of our developments, not just from a community engagement standpoint, but from an ownership standpoint. And so we look forward to you know, talking to the residents and learning from you what your business is and how we can partner with you, not just leasing space to you, but for you to actually be part owner of what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Next slide. And now turn it over to David Block to talk a little bit about the Evergreen project.
Thanks, Tori. Good evening, everybody. I'm David Block. I'm the Director of Development and a Principal at Evergreen Real Estate Group, and we too are honored to be part of this very dedicated small group of developers and designers who are looking at housing and mixed-use development opportunities at Lake and Kedzie. And so Evergreen Real Estate Group has been around for about 20 years, and we've done a number of projects around Chicago, and increasingly we're looking nationally as well. And you probably know some of the projects we've done. We did 2 of the 3 library housing projects under the previous administration. And this is one that's just a very nice urban infill neighborhood housing focused project in Albany Park on the northwest side. I am an architect and a developer, and it is really fun for me to be able to work with really talented architects. And so this project, using a very simple palette of materials, brings some really nice design touches without being unduly expensive. One of the other things that we try to do in all of our projects, you see down in the bottom here, is to bring public art into our development. And so we're doing that. We did this at our library projects. We did this here in Albany Park. And then Tori and I will talk a little bit about our next undertaking, which we are doing together down in Auburn Gresham. We were in the very first group of Invest Southwest proposals. And we are really excited that we're about 3 weeks away from really breaking ground and actually starting construction on this project. We have all of our financing lined up. We're just really waiting for building permits at this point. So, Tori, why don't you talk a little bit about our work here?
Yeah, I think what's key to understand in this particular community is that, you know, when we first were awarded the RFP, we presented our plans to the community, and the community told us, hell no, to be frank with you. They said, absolutely not. This is not what we want to see in the Auburn Gresham community. And we took a step back. We literally had to start from scratch. I think it was maybe 15, 17 community meetings that we held. We held charrettes. We did it late at night. We worked on the weekends to really understand what the community wanted to see. And then we finally got to where we had one project that was, I believe it was upwards of 60 units. And now we actually we broke the building down. They said it was too large, and now we have 2 buildings. So there's one directly across the street from the Healthy Hub lifestyle, and then there's another one on the corner of 79th and Halsted. And so, as David stated, we'll be closing on those projects before the end of the year. And when I talk about the opportunities for ownership, my business partner, Frank Spencer, and his wife, Pratik, own IO, which is one of the fastest growing West African food companies in the country. And they are putting their headquarters in the building that's directly across from the Healthy Hub, the picture that you see there. And so there's going to be some job opportunity created for residents that live in the community. And then at the 79th and Halsted site, I am bringing a winery restaurant to that particular area. And again, community members have been identified. They are going to be part owners of that. And for us, you know, it's all about execution. We were happy to be awarded, and now we're happy to be, you know, one of the first projects that actually closing and getting it done.
Thanks, Tori. So we wanted to introduce our design team as well. And one of the fun things about this exercise is many of us are getting to know some new architects, some of them from outside Chicago that we haven't worked with before, but are bringing some real dynamism and fresh energy. So I spent a part of this afternoon today with Lorcan O'Hurley, who is from Loha Design, but our local firm is HED, or Harley Ellis Devereaux, and Susan King is our local architect. Susan, you want to just introduce yourself quickly?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So as David said, I'm Susan King. I'm a principal. I'm also the studio leader for housing and community for HED, based in our Chicago office. I mean, we are a national firm, but our Chicago office has been here for over 40 years, and a primary focus has been working actually in many of the communities that are now, you know, the focus of Invest Southwest. So I just put this 2 recent projects up that you might be familiar with, in which we were, you know, we played a major role. One on the left is Lathrop, the transformation of that older Chicago Housing Authority property. And then a very, very different kind of project on the right, which is Lake Street Studios, just on the west edge of downtown. You might see it if you're stuck in traffic on 94. And that is affordable housing, single room occupancy, all studio apartments. And so we are looking forward getting to know Lorcan, who I think is going to talk next. And we are delighted to be involved and on this team. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. All right, Lorcan, introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. Apologies for the background noise. I just want to introduce myself. Great pleasure to be here and be working with Evergreen and Imagine and Susan. Very excited. This is a passionate part of our practice, and we're thrilled and overjoyed. A little bit about our office. Next slide. Our aim is to build resilient and equitable communities. These are a series of projects we've done, different typologies, but committed to the principle that architecture is a social act. That has been true to my heart and true to the whole office. And I'm so excited to say that I have kindred spirits with my whole team here. So very exciting. Next slide. We are a firm comprised of 30 architects and growing at this point. We work in a highly collaborative and transparent method, utilizing a iterative process, meaning that we look at multiple ideas and find the right solution to test, develop, and ultimately translate ideas to built environments. Picture my office on the left in LA. We are also based in Detroit. Next slide. And we're committed to urbanism, housing, and culture. And we emphasize with regards to urbanism, the social and civic connections. That's what we do with all of our work, whether Detroit, Chicago, Los Angeles, any cities. And that's what's critical to us. What other patterns, what are the critical, vibrant community ideas that we can build on? Housing also, expertise in housing has been developed over many years of practice. Culture, close to my heart, close to the practice. Kevin, you can jump in here now.
So I just want to do a time check. I think we have about a minute left.
That's great. I can run very quickly through the rest of this. David, if you'll jump to the next slide. So my name is Kevin Murray. I also work at Lorcan O'Herlihy Architects. As Lorcan mentioned, we work at all scales, everything from architecture to urban design and architecture to interiors. And our projects really show that. These are a collection of our built works. You can jump to the next slide. And not only do we build projects, but we work with various community members to receive input and move the project forward through a nonlinear fashion. We're okay with, as other team members have said, stepping back, iterating, expanding and contracting what it means to participate in the design process so that we can really meet high standards for all parties involved. Next slide. So we just selected a few works here. As Lorcan mentioned, we do a lot of work in Detroit. We have a collection of buildings here that we worked not only on the overall master plan for, but also the individual design of each of these four corner sites. You can see some of the materials and scale reflecting existing conditions as well as anticipating future space for this community. Next slide. Another project we worked on that's fully affordable in Los Angeles provides a elevated community space at the second level that allows transitionatory housing for the formerly homeless to not only have social spaces within the building, but also to live just adjacent to major transit networks as well. And then our third selected project here, just to wrap up, is our work SL 11024. And this was an exciting project because not only were we working with the city to construct on a very difficult site, but in addition, we're overlaying different resident types, including students, to create a space that was not only sensitive to the stepping of the neighborhood in this area, but that also created community within a series of roof decks that you can see on the right-hand side of this page. Next slide.
Yep.
All right.
Just to sum it up, ownership and execution is what we're all about. We think we're the right team to do both of those. Thanks.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
everybody.
All right, finally, I'm going to invite Michaels and KMW to present.
Great. I'm not sure who is handling the slides. We can just jump right in. Hi, my name is Bill Williams. I'm principal at KMW Communities. We'd like to present Hub 32 for the Garfield Park community. We're also fortunate to be in the process. We have been also in the community working for decades. We've done so much in the neighborhood already, but we're happy to see the city on board to kind of bring some real firepower behind these efforts. And so our vision behind the hub is somewhat like the city alluded to on one of the first slides is it's to make it a 15-minute neighborhood and while connecting the community. And we thought of the hub as not just a project. It's an opportunity to connect, leverage the ongoing efforts by the institutions that are already there, the community developers, the entrepreneurs, the everyday folks, to provide services for the community and by the community. And every time I go through some of these exercises, I try to study what is community and how is community defined. And it just breaks down to, people who have similar struggles, who care deeply about each other and working towards, a common goal. And so that's what we intend to try to do. It's use this project as a connection point that brings people together, and also to try to make this a choice neighborhood. So another thing what we always try to do is we play urban planners and urban developers. We look at things holistically and comprehensively and see what else the community needs. See how we can use this to grow other aspects of the community. Like Melvin, we're working side by side on some other efforts, some infill efforts, things that we've been doing. We're knee deep in this neighborhood. And folks don't know I was born in Garfield Park Hospital, the old one that's torn down. Family still lives in the neighborhood, so we're dedicated. My office is about a half a mile away. I can walk to the site. And so anyway, we're passionate about this neighborhood. We're passionate about all the neighborhoods in the city. So we'll just jump to the next slide, kind of introduce our team. As you see, it's KMW, the Michaels Group, and Bruce Scarpa kind of jumped around, but, Greg, if you want to jump in and take it from here.
Sure, we'll start with the development team. I'm Greg Olson, I'm Regional Vice President with Michaels Development Company, and I'm joined with my colleague, Alice Mwinsey. And then we've got, as you can see, Bill and his team, Jim Webb, our design team, which includes Brooks and Scarpa and Studio Dwell, and then our property management team, Michaels Management Affordable. Next slide, please. So for those of you who don't know Michaels Development, Michaels is a 50-year-old national affordable housing developer. We're national in scale, but we take sort of a regional and local approach to what we do. Our headquarters are based in Camden, New Jersey, which is just outside of Philadelphia, but we've got offices in DC, Atlanta, Chicago, LA, and Hawaii as well. In addition to affordable, which is most of our business, we also develop student and military housing. We've had our office here in Chicago for 22 years, and I've been with the company for 21 of those 22 years. And we've developed over 1,800 units of affordable housing that are currently under our property management. Projects are primarily located in the south and west sides of the city. You may be familiar with Park Douglas, which is located at California and Roosevelt. It was a 138-unit redevelopment. City Gardens at Maplewood and Jackson. And we've really worked hard to develop a strong track record and relationship with MBE, WBE contracting firms, as well as local hiring efforts in the communities that we work in. At the heart of our work really is a mission to lift lives. Next slide. And that lifting lives really takes place through a lot of different things. It can be through providing social services at our sites, fitness centers, on-site property management, business centers where people can stretch their legs and figure out their next steps, but also through a foundation that our company set up and through which we award scholarships to any residents who live within our property. We recognize that the quality of affordable housing is really central to a family's well-being. Next slide, Alice.
Thanks. I'll take it. I'll take this one. Yeah, so KMW has been around since 2012. We come out of the ashes of the financial crisis. Our background was in finance and economics. And we use that economic lens to community development. So every project that we invest in, we see what the context and how it reacts to the neighborhood. And so we kind of meet the neighborhood where it's at. And every project, even if it's affordable, we try to do home ownership around it, affordable home ownership. Since we've been at this, we've invested, tens of millions of private money. And now that this public monies are coming along, we hope to participate even more. Even, before the Invest Southwest initiative took place, we developed and repositioned hundreds of affordable housing and dozens of market rate housing. So we've been investing in these Invest Southwest neighborhoods a long time ago, and we hope to continue to do so. On the next slide, you can just see we've been awarded a couple of Invest Southwest projects. We had so many projects, we just picked a few. The one on the right-hand corner, that's market rate, and the others are market rate mixing and affordable housing too. So I think James,
Yeah, that's me. Okay, all right. So good evening. I am Jim Webb, principal of True Delta LLC. True Delta is the real estate development arm of Nation Builders Construction Group. Nation Builders is a construction management and general contracting firm based here in Garfield Park. We specialize in interior build outs, rehab, and commercial renovation. But as a development firm, we are looking to expand opportunities for the people we engage throughout the city, but especially here in the neighborhood. Myself, I've worked very closely with for years with youth over at the Mindful Redemption Project. I'm also part of some of the organizations, or at least one organization that encompasses a lot of organizations throughout the neighborhood. So as a firm, at least on the development side, we're looking to create safe spaces centered in the concept of Black culture wellness in this neighborhood, where people can live, play, and work smarter together. Next slide.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angie Brooks, Managing Principal of Brooks Plus Scarpa and an architect. We're leading your design team, and I'm working closely with Larry Scarpa, our design principal, and Carlos Garcia, who's our senior project architect, as well as Studio Dwell, who's our local partner. We have 3 decades of experience creating sustainable and inclusive mixed-use places that enhance communities and restore the urban fabric of neighborhoods. And we have worked with Studio Dwell in both Chicago and Detroit, and it's really a partnership of mutual respect. We both see architecture as a partnership with the greater community, and we're multidisciplinary. We have landscapers, urban planners, and interior and architects on our team. Next. And we have been honored with many design awards, but our success really rests on what we call the 3-legged stool. And the legs are design, budget, and schedule. And if one of them falls short, your stool falls over. We know that good design leverages public dollars, and these images are housing and mixed use projects from market rate to inclusionary, which is a mix of affordable and market rate in the upper left. And in the lower right, affordable apartments for homeless young adults. And Carlos Garcia, our senior project architect, just finished this one recently. Carlos?
Yeah, hi, I'm Carlos Garcia, as Angie mentioned, a senior architect at Brooks Scarpa. I've been in the industry about 15 years, practicing in all scales and typologies, most recently with a focus in affordable housing, specifically multifamily. I'm going to turn it over to Mark Peters with Studio Dwell.
Good evening, everybody. Like everyone else, really excited to be here and be part of this group. I'm principal at Studio Dwell Architects. We're a local architecture firm, and we've been practicing in Chicago for about 25 years. Our office is in Humboldt Park. We've been there about 10 years now. While we have projects that are national, most of the work seems to be in not only in Chicago, but within the west part of Chicago, so Humboldt Park, Wicker Park, and in those neighborhoods. We specialize, our focus is residential design, and we've done everything from single family homes to multifamily, high-rise, and market rate to affordable housing. Next. So our design approach is, like a lot of people, is really to listen to the community and to listen to people and understand how they're going to utilize a space or utilize or live in a space. Input to us always helps make a project get better, and it's the core of great design. One of the people that on our team is David Pearson, and he's a project architect, and he will be working on this project if we are selected. And he's worked on many of the projects that are shown on this slide. David, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm David. I've been working as an architect for about 20 years, and last 10 of those in Chicago. Moved into residential, worked with Studio Dwell about that time. Don't want to take up too much time, but just reiterate that we're all excited to get involved with community, and I think we've got a great team put together to put together a really strong project with your input. And I'll kick it back over to Greg from Michaels right now. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll just briefly, Alice, why don't you just briefly move through these slides since we only have a few minutes left. But really, the point we want to get across is that we're here to listen and to listen to the community and what the community is interested in before we put our foot forward and start designing anything.
So I'll hop in real quick. So we have a unique understanding of the Garfield Park neighborhood. In approaching the development of the Lake and Kedzie site, we've referenced both the 2008 East Garfield Park Quality of Life Plan and the 2020 GPCC Preserving Affordability Together Plan. Not lost on our team is the fact that there's a quality of life plan being assembled right now. And I am a community resident. I'm also giving input on that, as we all should. As somebody that's involved in the community, I have and our team has a familiarity, insight, and connection to the neighborhood and to what people on the ground have to say. So we are really looking forward to engaging more individuals and organizations throughout the neighborhood, even like we have it, at least to the lead up to this call.
All right, thanks, Jim. I think we should wrap up. We want to make sure that we have enough time for our virtual charrette and enough time for folks to ask questions of the teams. All right, so with that, we'll move into, we have an exercise on Mentimeter. Are you all able to see the screen? All right. So Mentimeter is a virtual engagement website. So in order to participate, if you all could navigate to menti.com and use and I see some folks are already there, use the code 146985-2. And I'll give folks a minute. Well, I see folks are already engaging, which is encouraging. You never know how technology is going to behave. Okay, so I'll move to the first question. Hopefully folks will catch up. So this is a word cloud. We're asking folks to, in one word, describe East Garfield Park. So you should be able to input a word and it will pop up on the screen here. So I'm going to allow about a minute for each of these activities. So it looks like a lot of folks are saying that there is a lot of potential in East Garfield Park. potential opportunity, history of neglect, culturally rich, underutilized, community, promising. Okay, so we'll move on to the next exercise. So we wanted to solicit some input in terms of what folks' preferences are for different types of housing. So there are 4 options here: mixed use, medium scale multifamily, mixed use, small scale multifamily, 3 flats and townhomes, single family, and 2 flat duplexes. So you should have the option to select your preference on the screen now. So it looks like a lot of folks are interested in seeing mixed use mid-scale multifamily. I'll give it about another 30 seconds. All right. So the next question is which building amenities are most important to folks? So we have common space, residential courtyards, kids play areas, parking, private amenities, or outdoor access. Looks like a lot of folks are interested in seeing outdoor access, common space, and residential courtyards. I'll give it about 30 more seconds. All right. All right, so the next question is which building amenities are most important? So this is similar to the last question, but with visual preferences. So common space, residential courtyards, kids pet area, dedicated bike parking, outdoor access, fitness, flexible spaces, or co-working spaces. All right, looks pretty consistent. A lot of folks are interested in outdoor access, common space, flexible fitness space, co-working space. All right, I'll give it about 30 more seconds. All right, let's move on. Okay, so the next question is, what ground floor uses would you like to see? So we have mixed use, Main Street, residential plazas, or destination. So they're indicated by the images. All right, looks like a lot of folks are interested in mixed use development. All right, we'll go to the next question. So this is a chart we're looking to gauge folks' preference for types of open space. So we're looking to get an understanding of whether folks prefer programmed open space, active open space, passive open space, or simple open space. So looks like a lot of folks are preferring something between active and simple. I'll give this another 30 seconds. All right. All right, so the next question is, what public realm spaces would you like to see? So would you like to see an active sidewalk, pedestrian and bike corridor, playgrounds and dog parks, or open space? I know some of this is a little redundant, but we're looking to gauge folks' preferences on public realm improvements. All right, looks like a lot of folks are interested in active sidewalks, a consistent preference for open space. All right. I think these are. All right, I'm going to skip the next one so we have more time for Q&A, but we'll stop here. The final question is, what is most important when running a project? So I think that there is multiple options, I think, in the Menti. I'm not seeing them. Okay, I think we'll stop here. I think I might have had some technical issues with that slide. Okay, so we have about 34 minutes left, so we're gonna get into the Q&A session. And I know we have some, already have some questions in the chat. So we have a question about LEED certified. So the question is, will any of these buildings be LEED certified? So to reframe the question, what sustainability features are you all anticipating including in these developments? And I'll pose that to the development teams.
Well, I can start. This is David Block from the Evergreen Imagine team. The city of Chicago, when you use city resources, which we would anticipate for this project, there is a menu of sustainability options that the design and development teams pick from. So in each project, we have to weigh what are we trying to accomplish environmentally and what are the resources available, because, you know, some sustainability options are more cost effective upfront than others. So we weigh the long-term benefit to the tenants, the long-term benefit to the environment, and what the immediate cost is of building, whether it's heat pumps or geothermal or solar. The most recent federal legislation, what the Biden administration is calling the Inflation Reduction Act, has a bunch of things in there that are encouraging the use of new green technology. So I think one of the things that we need to do is explore whether or not that makes things that would otherwise be unaffordable more achievable in doing one of these projects. So you know, we're open to a whole range of options. And it really just becomes a balancing act of what we can afford, what we're trying to do, and how we put the whole development together. And we haven't settled on anything yet.
I'd also add that in addition to designing for you know, the environment and for different programs for sustainability, we're also looking at resiliency in a lot of our properties now, and that's a trend because just the weather extremes are more challenging to deal with, and buildings need to be able to withstand more challenging weather extremes.
All right. So we have a lot of questions in here related to Minty, so I'm not going to go into those.
I can address for our team that question, James, if that's possible. I think the question of sustainability is very interesting, not only when it relates to the buildings themselves, but as in all your opinions right now, right, on the public space, on the courtyards, the access to open spaces, the street. How do we think of all that as a continuous that then becomes part of the spaces in which we live? So what are the possibilities of really understanding sustainability, not only from the inside of the spaces, but as thresholds, as continuities, right? As a broader kind of perspective of responsible citizens towards our changing climate.
Thank you. Anyone else want to touch on the sustainability question? Okay, so we have a question in the Q&A box. How does your schedule incorporate community input, given that the project needs to be under construction in 2023? Do you have a plan to manage the schedule? So in the RFQ, we outlined an engagement timeline that will go throughout 2023. We also do have plans to plug into some engagement that local organizations are already conducting. So there will be robust community engagement as we move this project along. And I don't know if maybe John, Gerardo, or David, if you guys have anything to add to that.
I can jump in a little bit here, James. I think in terms of the timeline, I think we anticipate, or we assume that the team that gets selected to this process, which will also involve community input, would want to pursue public funding for affordable housing tax credits from DOH, which the application window for that is in June. But that's just an initial application. So that's the start of the process, really. And then, or this is the start of the process. Once the team is selected, there'll be additional points of community engagement, as James implied. What we're doing here is you're meeting 3 teams. They'll each present their proposal. There'll be a portion, once these proposals are made public and they're complete, there'll be opportunities to view some videos and presentations online. There'll be opportunities for community to respond to those ideas and weigh in. We'll also have some community representatives on the selection committee to select the winner of the RFQ process. They'll then advance the design with additional points of community engagement to sort of move forward to this June application window. And then once those tax credits are approved, then the design can continue to advance. I think the idea of 2023 construction is an ambitious timeline, so that can adjust over time. But the June is sort of the first major deadline we're starting to target, and the construction window can adjust from that.
Thank you. I think that addresses the next question too, which is what is the timeline for any development projected? So the next question is, who determines which team is selected? So that is going to occur. The city is going to put together a team, a selection committee that includes members of the community, but also members of our committee on design and some internal staff. The next question is, will the designs be made available prior to team selection? So the teams are currently working on concepts, developing concepts that, which is one of the reasons why we wanted to get some initial feedback from folks. And there is going to be engagement around those at a later date. What is the benefit to ensure? What is the benefit to ensure the affordability for current residents? So in the RFQ, one of the goals that we stated was that we do want this to be or have some level of affordability. So I think we're anticipating that there will be a high degree of affordability to allow folks who are from the community to stay in the community. So I see there are several more questions. I think it might be more efficient for us to take some questions live. So if folks have questions, if you want to use the raise your hand function, and I'll call on you that way. Carl, I'm going to allow you to speak.
Hey, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, I was just listening to the presentation. All these things sound real good and they're all fancy and good presentations from all the 3 groups. But I'm more concerned about not these individuals being stakeholders in this community, but more having shareholders involved in this kind of a project that comes to the west side of Chicago. Too often we have had projects and people come in and develop stuff. They go, they come, they go, but nothing remains. Nothing remains behind. It gives us ownership and gives us a sense of input on these projects. I've seen several people speak today, some from the west side, formerly from the west side, that has some connection with the west side, but might have left the west side. But we need to have something that's still here, that's been here, that's visual here, that employs people from here, and that's committed to staying around here. And so, we look at a couple of groups, and I don't think that I've seen any of them who have a greater input and a greater footprint than I see with as far as dealing with when I'm looking at citizens build a better community that has shown track record in this. And I'm concerned that we don't, I'm glad to see this organization get an opportunity. So we need to be intentional about how we make sure that these brothers and these sisters with the taking the lead on these developments, that they have a good fair shake and a good hands up on developing these projects. That is very important in our community. You can't be what you can't see. We're not looking for folks to bring something and go away after it's been built. We need people who have some staying power, who's going to be here, who's been here, who's going to remain here. So we want you to take that when we take that very deeply into consideration about what we're looking for and what we will support when it comes to our neighborhood and what's being developed in our neighborhood. We appreciate people for coming from outside to help, but we have to be able to be self-sufficient and being able to support ourselves and take care of ourselves and make sure that we have ownership in what takes place in our community. And I need to see more of that. And the only group I see that represent that from what I know is the Citizen Build a Better Community has shown that and has demonstrated that. So that's just what I just want to leave you guys with. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to our concerns when it comes to this development on the west side of Chicago. We don't like to be exploited. We're tired of being exploited. We want to make sure that we keep our people who live here and reside here, who have some ownership here. They're not stakeholders, they're shareholders. That's important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to allow Gloria Austin to speak next. And if you have any questions. Gloria, you should be able to speak now.
Yes, I'm here. My name is Gloria Austin. I am a 65-year East Garfield Park resident. The gentleman who just spoke before is very true, and I want to piggyback on that because I just want to read what I just typed. I do believe that we are missing the elephant in the room. How will we be able to engage the African-American community, particularly our young Black men, to assist and help being the voice? They're not on Zoom. They don't go to any fancy meetings, okay? They're not going to be on any Zoom meetings. We need to reach those who are not in these meetings. We need to go directly to the street. That is the only way we are going to reach their shareholders, those who live, work, and play in East Garfield Park, is to go meet them where they are. We need to assist them in getting their hands dirty, doing the right thing. The developer who said, let's get our men to trade in the gun for a hammer, I like that because that is the root. I don't care how pretty the building is. I don't care how nice it is. I don't care how sustainable it is. I don't care about all the plants that's on the roof. If we do not involve this community, what you're going to see 10 years from now is another piece of neglected land that's been left behind for those who came in from the outside, developed it, and just left the room. We are shareholders. I've been in this community 65 years. I've seen it all. They come, make promises, and they go. We need to go to the street and engage the community. They're not going to come on Zoom. We need to go directly to them. We will never hear that or see them in the Zoom meetings. We need to go directly to the street. We need to take this meeting to the street.
Thank you, Ms. Austin. And we are anticipating having some in-person engagement sessions around this project. So we certainly will be out in the community engaging folks around this project. But thank you for pointing or stating that.
Can I hop in real quick? So,
yeah, go ahead.
We appreciate the comments. I mean, I think, even for myself, to be able to use construction as an outlet, that's how I was able to get work coming from this side of the city as well. So I saw that Carl spoke as well. Carl, I appreciate your words because, you know me since I was a teenager. The gist of the matter, at least for us, since 2017, I've been training youth between the ages of 18 and 30, right on Washington and Kildare, in conjunction with the Mindful Redemption Project. We've been working at projects all throughout the city. My thing is that as we search for outlets here in our own neighborhood to be able to put people to work right here in our own neighborhood. I could walk to this site. I live here. So the thought process is that whoever gets this site and develops this site, that we are empowering young Black youth from this neighborhood. That's how I feel, that's how I live. And even if we don't get it, we'll still be out here doing the work.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep, and if you don't mind, yep, and I know James, he does some really good work. I'll just say that's the reason that I got in the development game, because I got tired of, developers that don't look like me coming into my neighborhood, developing and leaving. It's unacceptable. And so at least for Imagine, wherever we develop, we also open the nonprofit, the Clio Center. So in Auburn Gresham, we're bringing the Clio Center over there. And we do exactly what you're talking about. We employ 300 youth between the ages of 16 and 24 every year. And these are the ones that are out there, looking for folks like us to invest in them. And so I hear you loud and clear. I'm glad that we're able to have this dialogue with the community. And this is just the beginning. This isn't the end. These types of conversations will continue.
Thank you. Anyone else want to?
Yeah, and I want to chime in on that. And I hear what James and Brother Torrey saying, and I do appreciate, because it take all of us. But, I mean, you can see history of me grabbing the guys protesting, getting the guns out of their hand. I walk block by block. I don't care where the Thundercats at. They know me. They know where I'm at. They, big bro, get me off these streets. And I appreciate both James and Torrey. And it's gonna take it's gonna take not one of us, it's gonna take all of us to get, because when I talk to these young guys, these guys are like, man, bro, I can give you the gun, but man, you give me something to do. I'm gonna give you this pistol, and I'm just telling you how they talk, man, I give you my sword. But again, it's gonna take all of us to really put our best foot forward. And just like the caller said, the young guys that I was just talking to previously on the next block, they was like, big bro, we sell cars. We, whatever they sell. I said, but I know y'all do other things too, man. I'm not foolish on what y'all doing, man. So, and I got a lot of them to be honest, just to be transparent. Stop stealing cars, man. Stop going to them high-end stores, man, stealing them cars, man. Stop it. I'm tired of hearing that y'all off this block going smashing them cars up north and going robbing them people. So again, it's going to take all of us on this call to really lock arms and show these young men some love and this embrace of, that change is coming, and it's going to take all of us.
Thanks, Melvin.
Thanks for that, Melvin. Yeah, thanks, James. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I was a little had technical difficulties earlier, but I'm Gerardo Garcia, Deputy Commissioner for the Bureau of Planning and Design at the Department of Planning. And I think what I wanted to chime in on is on the response from all three teams here. I think there is a theme here of folks who want to do this work in this community that are invested in it. And I think it's proof positive of the response to the request for qualifications that was put out and its goals around community wealth building. So I think when these gentlemen say that they're in this regardless of whether they ultimately win the commission or not, I take them at their word for that, because they've been doing this work for quite some time. And I just think it's an opportunity for the community to have choice and to have a conversation around how we innovate around community wealth building. So this is really an opportunity that we at the department have identified, and that we would love nothing more than to work through with the community to figure out what community wealth means for it. And, having all of these very qualified and enthusiastic teams at the table only provides choice and ultimately a pipeline of folks that are willing and able to do this work in the community. So from our perspective, this is very exciting, and it's very spiriting to hear all of them kind of speak in unison around these issues that we know are very relevant and real for you all.
Thanks, Gerardo.
And Bill, I can't leave you out too of the great work you're doing. So keep it up. All right, Bill.
Thanks. So I just want to make sure that we give folks the opportunity to speak, and we have 3 folks with their hands up. So I'm going to go LaShawn, then Adrian, then Antonio. So LaShawn, you should be able to speak.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. One, I want to know if these projects will enable the developers to set aside units for East Garfield Park residents specifically. Oftentimes we build these wonderful units and the apartments are issued on a first come, first served basis. And to our dismay, we see beautiful structures go up, and we've been here for forever hoping for that new unit and don't get into it. The second thing I want to say is I like what each of the parties have presented, but my concern is this is one project. We need something sustainable to give these young people, men and women, hope, young and old hope, something that's sustainable, not one project that, you know, stokes the fire a little bit and then it dies out. We need projects and work in our communities that are going to create a sustainable work environment. And that's the end of my comment.
Thank you. On the question of housing, I think that's something that we might have to get back to you. I don't know, Gerardo, see you. Did you have anything on that point?
No, sorry, I had to drop off again. Was there a question that you need me to chime in on?
The question was, is there an ability for us to set aside units specifically for East Garfield Park?
I have a feeling I know the answer to this, but I actually would like to hear from some of the developers. But I think there is more so an opportunity to target the marketing of the site to folks in East Garfield Park. But my understanding is we can't really say this development is only for certain folks from certain communities, essentially, right? And so it kind of gets to this notion of exclusionary housing. And so we can certainly work with community organizations, with local stakeholders to make sure that people in East Garfield Park or Garfield Park in general are aware of the opportunity, but we can't exclude folks.
Thank you. All right, Adrian, I'm going to allow you to speak. You should be able to.
Hello?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
So I came in a little late, so I'm so sorry about that. So I missed a lot of the information. My name is Adrian Q from Step Up for Mental Health. I live in the West Side, but I also lived for years in the South Side. So I'm a small, not me, but we are a small nonprofit who work in the communities of families. And one of the things, I mean, we're small, so we don't have the assets to get these type of developments and kind of be thought about. But I would just say, think about development especially when you're talking about organizations, nonprofits who are really trying to do the work in the communities. We help families who are dealing with mental health crises and food disparities and so many types of issues. And I would like to see, one of my visions, if somebody thought about it, is to have a kind of a community center where, just like they would do with artistic communities, and they would have kind of silos of different artistic groups in one building. I would think about, thinking about the smaller nonprofits who work in small spaces, work from home, that kind of thing, and bring those kind of communities together so we can do the work in a bigger way, particularly on the West Side. I live in Humboldt Park, but also Hermosa and Austin, right by Austin. And, sometimes one small nonprofit or one large nonprofit can't do it. And think about maybe having a space where a collective of nonprofits can do so much. That's just my tip for everybody.
Thank you. Antonio, you should be able to speak now.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so my question is, you touched briefly on, that who was going to be able to pick the individuals or the team that's going to be crafted to pick the developers. But my question is, you said community groups, like, okay, where the community groups are going to be, are going to be sought out from, as well as, you said individuals within the city. I mean, so like who exactly are we talking about? People from, whether it's the building department or, is it the city is certain departments within the city? Like who exactly will be these individuals? Because, again, I'm an individual that's also from the Garfield community. And, I'm only familiar with citizens, individuals through Citizens Build on the aspect of actually getting out in the community, and we're seeing consistently on the ground. So I'm trying to figure out who and how this process is going to happen. Is it like a voting where individuals in the community can say, hey, we're looking for this particular people, or how's that working?
I can chime in on this one, James.
Yep.
The way that we've done this in the past is there are a series of subject matter experts on the city side. So folks from our Department of Transportation, our Department of Housing, our Financial Incentives Division, folks from our Plan and Design Bureau. And the idea is that on the city side, they're all bringing, subject matter expertise to the evaluation. The way that we've done, first of all, there's going to be time for us, all of us, to have a community conversation around these projects as they develop. I think that's first and foremost for everyone to understand. When it comes down to the actual evaluation, we've had a process in other communities of nomination, and then essentially a lottery. So whoever wants to participate in the evaluation committee, and it's usually up to 3 community members, or whoever feels that maybe their neighbor or their peer is a good candidate to participate in the evaluation committee, we will have a nomination period, and then essentially a drawing to determine who those 3 community evaluators are. There likely will be other criteria like attending sessions like this, et cetera, but we'll have more time to establish that as the process unfolds, if you will.
Thanks, Gerardo. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? We have about 6 minutes left, so maybe a couple more questions or comments.
James, is there a possibility to go back to LaShawn's comment on the ongoing efforts in the neighborhood? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to?
I think, LaShawn, we may have tapped you for some information about the needs of the community. We're working on this effort. It's called 3C, where we are concentrating investments around the Invest Southwest project, one of which is this one, and another one at the Poor site, the C40 site, and at the Chicago Avenue corridor, in an effort to connect these neighborhoods and infill the neighborhoods to bring density, which would bring economic development. We've also invited some local folks, Melvin, to the table. We've already raised philanthropic dollars. We already assembled land, and we hope to involve more people like Melvin to help with this effort that are from the community, because we don't want to do this work on our own. We want to, because the lift is so heavy, we need help doing it. So we're, people like Melvin who's proven, we are facilitating that. And so we hope that this project will be a catalyst to that effort. And so the idea is for us to coordinate and to have long-term, long stay, where people from the community will have ownership and also be able to produce the product that they will be selling at the price where the community can afford it. And so that's the long game for us. And like, Geraldo said, we'll be here no matter who wins this, because we're that dedicated to the community. And us personally, we have invested $200,000 in land already for this project that we will hope to be break even or a loss leader to get this effort started for the long duration of the neighborhood, not just this project. And this has been going on before this project was even announced. So that's our commitment. We're putting resources and time and effort and aligning, resources where local smaller firms won't be able to get. So we're aligning it and handing it out.
Thanks, Bill. So we have about 4 minutes. Mike, I think I saw your hand. I don't know if you still want to speak. Maybe you want to be the last comment. All right, you should be able to talk.
Hey, yeah, thanks, James. I was just wondering from the development teams, what site are you considering? I think site 1 is the Kedzie lots at the end of Maypole, and site 2 is the lot on Lake Street, just south of Beidler Elementary. I was just curious from the developer teams, the 3 development teams, what site are you considering submitting on the January 11th deadline? Thank you.
I can answer that. We considering site 2. We feel that's a great site across the street from the hatchery. We feel that it will be more conducive at this point, site 2, because it's just a great site for us. It's more lighting. We got some other ideas about the whole process. But to answer your question, Mike, site 2, right across the street from the hatchery.
Yeah, Mike, and the Michaels and KMW True Delta team is interested in that site as well. We like the idea that you can build off the existing dynamism that's happening at the hatchery and figure out a way to kind of connect the 2 sites to start from that. So sort of success breeds success.
Sounds like we're all thinking along the same lines.
Okay, thank you. We have about 2 minutes left. Angela, I see your hand up. I think you're going to be the last comment. Any questions that we have in the Q&A, we will get those answered and posted online. Angela, you should be able to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for allowing me an opportunity. I guess it is at the end. I just want to thank all of the teams for their presentations. And what I kind of heard is passion for the community. And I think it's a comment, keep the passion going, because we're a passionate community and we need to see some things happening. So like everybody pretty much before me had to say, don't come over here playing with us, because we've been played with so many times before, and we really want to support somebody that wants to support us. And from the teams, I've heard things that have been consistent over the years about what our community needs are: buy-in ability, ownership ability, and affordability. And we need to really, and I want to send y'all back to the table to think about that, we need to have some reserve for us, because again, what happens? You come in here, you build it, and the others come and we're locked out. I'm done for the evening. Thank you for affording me to speak.
Thank you. All right, so we've had a really productive meeting today. I appreciate the attendance that we've had and look forward to continuing to engage folks around this project. So with that, unless there are any other comments from the panel, brief comments, we will conclude this meeting for tonight.
I just want to comment, and just like Ms. Taylor said, when she really struck my attention when she said, don't play with us. And that's the motto we're the approach we're taking in the community, because, it is what it is. You've been fighting so long for opportunity, and, it's just a blessing just to have all these great people on the Zoom call, that we all going for the same goal and mission. So, and just like she said, the community is not to be played with, and, we take it very serious. So I like to thank everybody for the opportunity. But when she said that, I had to look right up. That's the model we've been taking. So thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so with that, we'll wrap up. We'll conclude the meeting. I know that there are several questions left in the chat or the Q&A box. We're going to work to get those answered and posted online. And so thank you all for joining us. And we look forward to continuing to engage you all around this project. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
I